Here we are on the 5th of June and I'm in the middle of London and I'm just showing you some of the landscaping work that I do. This garden in the middle of London has been 3 or 4 years from design to completion. This is one of our Zen gardens. So the top part is a typical Zen garden with all the rocks, lots of beautiful rocks and the white gravel, and that might be lit later on when everything is done. And then there are two sides of the garden. There is this side which is turf, and then there's a dry riverbed flowing under the bridge and ending up there. So these are large pines that I have brought. These are Bouverensis dwarf Scots pines, which we grow on the nursery for landscaping. And then there are more trees. So this side has got 1, 2, 3, 4, has got 8 large garden trees. If we pan around, we see all these large garden trees. So this is one of our red Monet bridges, as you can see. Very Japanesey. This is the Japanese red. And then on that side are more trees. So there are about 300 apartments in this development. And I didn't tell you how much these apartments are. The cheapest apartment is over £1 million and the penthouse suites are about £11 million. There are 10 penthouse suites. And this is a garden they all look into, but the residents cannot come and walk in this garden. It's only for viewing, like all Japanese gardens are meant to be. Hopefully this gives you a better view of the Zen garden proper. There are some huge rocks. Some of those rocks are 8 foot tall, and the biggest rocks weigh 3 to 4 tons in weight. We use 25 tons of white gravel, and I think there must be about 40 tons of rock in this garden. If you like the lovely grass, I can tell you that it is not real grass, it is artificial grass, but it looks very realistic. All these large rocks had to be lifted by crane over the top, and I supervised the placement of the rocks. So the rocks are not just haphazardly placed, they are all placed with great thought. Each of these sets of 3s and 2s have been carefully composed. And this is a set of 2, set of 3. I would just like to say something about the placement of these rocks. I did have a very rough plan, but the exact placement happened on the day. All these rocks were delivered on one day, and it took us, or took me, half a day to decide which rocks go where and how each would go together. Like take for instance these 3 rocks. When they came, I had to decide on the spur of the moment that these 3 rocks would form a set. See how beautiful they are, and see how well it has suited each other. And then these 2 big rocks, I had to decide which way the rock would stand, whether it would be on the bottom or on the side. And these 2 rocks were put together because they belong to each other. So placing rocks is quite an art. It isn't an art that you can develop in just 5 minutes. It probably takes years and years to learn the techniques. Like these three, I consider to be quite good. And the placement of these three as well. Wherever you look, it should give you a feeling of peacefulness. And it is purposeful and reposed. Even those two horizontal rocks, they are meant to be like a bridge. And those two are placed at a diagonal in the garden so that it makes the whole garden look diagonal. And of course, these three large standing stones, I couldn't get them too close together because they are mounted on huge, great, big steel galvanized plates to spread the load. So because of engineering considerations, I couldn't get them closer than I would have liked. So there are certain constraints when it comes to placing these rocks. And these rocks had to be very carefully maneuvered over the top of this building, 6-story building, and each of these rocks had to be lifted by crane. I will show you the still pictures which record the lifting of these rocks. These rocks hopefully will never be removed, because once the crane is out of sight, it will almost be impossible to move them. And this is a classic rock. It's like a shelf or stepping stone. There is only one way this rock could have been laid, and this is this way. There was no other way. Same with this. This rock, that is the optimum position. You couldn't have put it any other way. And that is why Japanese gardening is something that you can't just do overnight. There is a lot of skill involved. Although it may seem to be a pile of rocks, the placement of the rocks is very, very carefully considered. I hope this gives you some insight into the work that I do, because the Japanese garden work is half my activity at Herons Bonsai. I will show you more still pictures which you can enjoy. Thanks. Today is the 15th of August and it's 10 o'clock at night, and I've come to see the Islington Garden with the lights installed for the first time, and I must say it looks rather magical. Look at all the trees and the rocks with the lights. It looks like a fairyland. Very discreetly done, and I'm sure you'll agree that it is truly magnificent. It brings out the texture of the trees, the texture of the rocks. Pity I can't get a bird's eye view from the rooftop, but people are living in a penthouse flat, so I can't really go up there. But I must say the view from here is nice. From upstairs it must be quite different. I would say maybe even nicer. So this is just a little glimpse of what the feeling is like. These large standing stones, 6 to 7 foot high rocks. There are 6 tall standing stones and quite a few other stones in the middle, and the combed wave patterns. I'm just going to get a better view of the trees from the Zen Garden. This is a view of the Zen Garden at night with the bridge. Quite different from the daytime. You can see the wave patterns combed. I must say that the garden has done quite a very good job. The combing is nice. So this is what the garden looks like. And I must say, I'm very pleased with it. Look at it, look at it. Absolutely stunning at night. So for these inhabitants of these apartments, there are 300 apartments that have a view of the garden, and this must be very pleasing for them. So all in all, I'm very pleased. And in September, we're going to have a formal opening, and I shall be there to talk about the garden. And I hope to show you a video of that in due course. So here we are. It's now gone 10:30. I've come especially in the night to view this garden, and I am extremely pleased with it. Enjoy it.